Hi, today I am going to be making a raisin pie, and what I want to know from you all is if you have had raisin pie before. I'm kind of surprised at how many people have not heard about raisin pie, but tomorrow is Easter, and we are also celebrating my dad's 80th birthday, and one of the things that he requested was a raisin pie for his birthday. That is something that his grandmother used to always make for him. So, or his mother, my grandmother. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making the raisin pie, and I thought it would be great to show you guys how to do it. In fact, I'm even going to show you guys my mom's blue ribbon pie crust recipe. So that's what we have to do first. The raisin pie does require 2 crusts. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to be putting in 2 cups of flour. And I am just using an all-purpose flour. So 2 cups goes right in there. And then, don't judge me, but we are using butter flavored shortening. And I promise you, it may not be good for your waistline, but it is so good in this crust. It makes it so flaky and so good. So we're measuring that there, and we'll get that shortening in there. Alright, and then the other thing that we want to go ahead and put in is 2 tablespoons of butter. Now you want to make sure that the butter is really cold. So I just got this out of the fridge. I'm just going to cut it up. But we're going to be using a pastry cutter. And we want to use the pastry cutter and have it look like little pea-sized pieces. So this takes just a little bit. So do you all make your own pie crust? What I find is this pie crust is so easy. Like I said, this recipe goes ahead and makes 2 crusts. If you only need 1 crust, just go ahead and make the full recipe, because then you can just take the other half and freeze it, and then you already have pie crust in the freezer that you can get out and put in the fridge and let thaw and use. And I have used that store-bought pie crust before, but trust me, this is so much better. It just tastes so much better. And you have that sense of accomplishment knowing that you have made your own pie crust from scratch. Alright, so we have it in little pea-sized pieces. You can see it like right there. So the next thing we want to do is put in just an egg yolk. And go ahead and save the egg white, because then you can use that egg white to brush the top of the pie crust and make it nice and golden brown whenever it cooks. So here's my egg. This is actually from one of our chickens, one of our Americanas. You can see it's kind of a bluish green color. I am just going to go ahead and separate it. Putting my white into this bowl so I could use it for later. There we go. Now we've got that yolk right there. Put this over here to use. And then we want to use 5 to 7 tablespoons of water. And we want to make sure that the water is ice cold. So what I did is I put some water in my measuring cup, and then I put ice in there so it would be ice cold. I'm going to have to clean the eggs off of my fingers. Alright, so we're going to start with 5. Now it really depends. Why we say 5 to 7 is because it depends on the humidity. So there's 5. If it's really humid out, you do not need as much water. If it's kind of dry out, then you need more water. In fact, my recipe from my mom says 5 to 7 tablespoons of water may take 8 to 9. So it really does depend on what the weather is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just use my hands. I'm just going to get in there and mix this up. A lot of people use a food processor, and I do have a food processor, but I kind of like to play with my food. So that's why I'm just gonna, and that way I can really kind of feel it and feel if I'm gonna need more water. And I think I am. And when I do get the water, what I do is I just do then one more at a time. So I put in 5, and so I put in one more, 6. I'm just gonna kind of get this together. And then I think I might need one more. Clean my hand off. And I think that's going to be it. The one thing though you want to be very careful about when you're working with dough of any kind, bread dough, pastry dough, anything, is not to overwork the dough, because then it becomes tough. So one more. And yeah, that was what we needed. We needed the 7 tablespoons today. Alright, it's going to be kind of sticky. That's okay. That's the way it should be. My fingers off. Now what you normally do is you would cover this in saran wrap, put it in the fridge, and keep it there overnight. But I never think that far ahead. So what I do, you do want the dough to be really nice and cold whenever you roll it out and work with it. So what I do is I kind of cheat a little bit, and I'm going to put some plastic wrap on this, and I am going to actually put it in my freezer. And then it only takes probably about, I don't know, an hour or so to get it really nice and cold. I don't want it frozen, so you got to kind of keep an eye on it. But in about an hour, then I will be ready to get my dough out and roll it out and put it for a pie. So that's our first step of our pie dough. So come back and I'll show you what to do after it gets chilled.